we look at the meaning of mob justice, and just before we go to that, I know something. Spare me 1 minute, please, if you will, because I want to make sure say we capture this proper in terms of the voice. I want to understand exactly why we decide for bring this back come up, why we decide for say when they can't unpack waiting the first lady say. There's a particular reason why, absolutely. And what we know is this, yeah? Family, we find no pleasure in trying to ridicule anybody, not much more with First Lady. But sometimes we need deep reflection when we talk about things, how we talk about things. So, like I been say, when we went on social media after this story break regarding waiting the First Lady say, of course, everybody gets inside. But common sense in the end must prevail because even your side, my side, their side, our side, somewhere in the middle stands the truth. And that truth there it comes as a consequence of sober reflection, which 911 do again. So as soon as a break where we self talk about and other people they talk about some people then say you don't watch the entire tape, which of course I did. And I particularly went onto this particular phrase where this woman used, where the First Lady used. So having said or spoken against the usage of that word day, that phrase day, the context in which it was used, I thought, yeah, it made a lot of sense. But then as usual, every time she speaks, it becomes really, really controversial. So we decide to take a second look. So therefore go revisit the tape ordering and I listen. And then I reflect on waiting the people let me try for say those way side with the First Lady. And when they side with the First Lady, and the reason, because now the conclusion what I come to, there was so much outcry and call for go and watch the tape. And I watched the tape. It didn't make any difference, I must say, because I've been on watching when I capture on that particular phrase where the First Lady used, mob justice. So when I look back, I see no difference. I cannot understand what the First Lady they try for say, and I reflect with them. And I stand with them, what they try for say, which now generally the protection of the state. So we get that. So smart people and others then will understand did think that it was unfair that people and they pick on what the First Lady say or a particular, almost like a sound bite. Politicians they can do a lot, adversaries they can do a lot, protagonists, antagonists they can do a lot for dismember, for destroy their opponents. But this is not a case of this particular word number the First Lady used for goodness sake. So the ante been there so much up, it's like go and look or listen to the entire tape which are done. But because of the cry gets louder, the tape. So I told myself, I said, probably I missed something. So let me go back to the tape. So I listened to the tape twice more. And in fact, what I learned from the tape make me even, determined for come back and can't talk because I still stand on my position. The First Lady, the use of the phrase there, we go mob justice una, is totally uncalled for. Looking at it from a wider context, where people let it try for say, when we self understand, waiting in First Lady be the driver, no excuse them, and I repeat, no excuse them from using such a derogatory, such a language where not belong to the mouth, not the office of the First Lady. This First Lady gets a choice of words she could have used. You could understand the frustration because when you look at the depth of the interview, it wasn't even an interview. She was speaking, trying to make a position known. You can understand the frustration, but understanding the frustration does not mean in any sense, say the word, we go mob justice sooner, call for. It's totally uncalled for. And Fambul and I make our then we look at waiting na the meaning of mob justice. Okay? It's not like some of us not know waiting at the meaning of mob justice. I know say the people the way they watch very intelligent people and the rest of it, but remember say an opinion talk here, public opinion talk. So we try for see how much we can kind of understand ourselves in terms of the current state of argument regarding the First Lady of the Republic. So when we talk about mob justice, family, we talk about extrajudicial actions. I repeat, when we talk about mob justice, we talk about extrajudicial actions. We can equally ask ourselves, waiting at extrajudicial, which means that within the judicial system, we do things them where they outside of and waiting the judicial system mean that are the laws the way they govern we who start and they make, in other words, the rule of justice of a rule-based system na in cover we all. So acting outside of it, which is extrajudicial, now there you go here, reading terminology there. Mob belong to government. This na mafia term, this na drug dealer term, and is totally does not belong to the office nor to the first lady of the country. Okay, so let me say the first lady use the word, so we begin to look at it from a wider context. Say, in which case, or what did she meant when he used the word or the phrase? Yeah, we go mob justice now. You can see directly she was speaking to the Sierra Leonean people, a portion of them who may violate the things that we would try for put in place for make sure say the country is safe. But all of that does not amount to mob justice. Not at all. We know say when we talk about justice in Africa, because we don't see how many times, not a good thing at all. So acting outside of the judicial process is criminal in itself. It's really, really criminal. Mob justice now when you go run behind somebody, where somebody allegedly commit a crime because a man is innocent until proven guilty. So allegedly somebody commit a crime or they have a thief and everybody begin run towards that person. And when they run towards that person and catch that person, they will know normally what they can do to that person. They beat them, violate everything about that, and in some cases, then kill them brutally, which is taking the law into your own hands. Ladies and gentlemen, you cannot be saying that the First Lady of the Republic will be saying these things. So intention could be different. Now, it made those of una where they support them, suppose for first of all, condemn the usage of that kind of language there. And then we can go into what notice the first lady be mean, the choice of words was poor. We don't see them before. People and they come out, senior people and serious people, and they come out and say the choice of words were poor. It was poor, very, very poor. That now we go mob justice. What in a mob that the rule of injustice, the rule of mob. Are we saying she's implying that administration is a mob administration? Because that it means the rule of mobs justice, your own citizens, in which the law of the land is taken into the hands of the few and the powerful. Now, it make the first lady not for be not use any language such as that one. Nothing at all if I be not do. The best thing for do now, those of us who are siding with the first lady, who are pretending intentionally, unintentionally, for understand where she's coming from, will first of all have to apologize either in her behalf or ask the first lady, do ya now for apologize for this terminology where you use, because it not go down well, and looking at it from a common sense point of view, looking at it from a contextual sense, is abusive. Very, very abusive. Okay? Very. And that not only go to the people the way they speak to, but also to the administration of a husband. Because you they intimate, you they infer, you they insinuate that if we go for mob justice, that means we will be acting outside of the law. So that means me man in administration is a mob administration, a mobster administration, because we will be mobbing people. We will be, going into inflicting injustice on people. We will be taking the law out of the courts, out of the judicial system, to inflict summary justice right there where it happened. Seriously? So we don't understand waiting at this mob justice. We're not a good word at all, especially coming from somebody so powerful, so much of influence. And I hope, say, those of una will get contact with the first lady, because even you want them around the first lady, why una not for able for, you don't see waiting happen on social media and go back to the first lady and una sit down and talk reasonable conversation like adults. Like this talk not go down well, or una pick up the dictionary, una look at waiting mobster mean, waiting mob justice mean. Una look inside the word derived from. Una look how it's being used, especially so within the African context. Is this what the first lady was intimating, that this is what is to come? The rule of mob justice, implying that the administration is ruled by mobsters? And mind you, this is not what I'm saying of the administration, and it's about the implication of what the first lady say. There is no place for that in the Sierra Leonean society. No place for that. We've been through our ups and downs. We've had, our worst moments in the history of the country, Couple of them, the worst one was in the 90s, the Rebel Civil War, where thousands and thousands of compatriots died. We make this democracy where we cannot enjoy, where we don't hold couple of free and fair elections, the change of governments, the law, the upholding of principles, and the judicial system, and the legislative system, and the executive system are all working somehow. And then here somewhere, somebody is calling for mob justice, and some of us are trying to provide excuse by saying we understand why it is said so, as if the other people are not understanding, simply because they disagree with the use of the word mob justice. We go mob justice, some of una. That is truly, sincerely not called for. We international partners go frown on this. The people that we think will frown on this. Those of you that have got contact with the First Lady, we get some kind of freedom. Those of us that have got some kind of freedom, some kind of leverage. What I mean by this, some degree of independence, because the one that way they inside they might just be afraid to tell her, even though they're just supposed to get frank discussions. They might be afraid, but if you there, you get you penny, and you independent, you no owe obligation to anyone, then maybe you might be able to speak your mind in a fair, open sense. But I mean, I scorched the entire social media yesterday and today, and waiting I see and hear from some people and what I get deep regard and respect for look at the word where the woman use and provide an excuse because we people like Trangais. But then are Europea, then are Americas, then are the general Western world. They are not calling for mob justice because then they call for justice outside and not day. And knowing fully well the consequence of mob justice that for run BM people them, batter them up, like some archaic period in the history of the world, some uncivilized period in the history of the world, then sit down there comfortably. And the point here is, for most things, we violated here as well. You put a sanction and people then bust the sanctions. Then they cage people in a park, then they cage people them outside, partying and the rest of it. Even though the government of then country there, Italy, UK, and the rest of it, they don't declare, say, don't do this, but then continue for doing. But then find a civilized way for handling mob justice. And the worst thing is, you are not calling for mob justice here for the same crime where people and they commit down a freeton, where you they call for mob justice, or they back the people that we say we should apply mob justice to them. Ebo, inside the 21st century, after all this suffer, hold on suffer. And let me make this clear. We clearly understand the frustrations. We clearly understand the attitude of we people them. We clearly understand the violations. We clearly understand the responsibility of the leadership in trying to prevent this disease, this infection, this virus from taking over our country. So hence, things has to be put in place. But there is something also which is important, which is you have to rule by example. You have to rule by example. You know when they tell people, they say, una no gather, they yourself, they go gather. You know when they tell people, they say, a closed church, a closed mosque, and then schools are open. You know when they tell people, they say, not do this, una not come together, una not party, and what have you, yet people and they go markets. So you get forget one precise and concise policy for deal with the situation. That shows a level of leadership and sincerity. That's what it is. And then people will follow, and then people will take you seriously, and people know that this is no joke. But then you can't call a press conference and then all go assemble day. You can't get some parts in Freetown in which people are allowed to converge. Like big man, they get nightclub. Where the nightclub, then they go open, and they're even being protected by law enforcement officers paid by the taxpayer. That cannot be serious. So Fambulema need for move on, and I hope say we get this really clear, because the language used by the First Lady, mob justice, where they begin for use them back in the 1800s, it not bode well at all. It not mean say you only pronounce them. It's there's an intent behind them, and he say them clearly. We go begin for mob justice, And just remember the implication, just remember the definition, just remember what mob justice stand for, especially so now back home. We don't see how many times when you get vigilante groups, lawless groups, and in most times directed by government officials. In most times, directed by government officials. The reason why I say so, because to be a breakdown of law and order, where vigilante groups can be on the rise, and then where the strong survive, I make them call on jungle justice because there's no law and order, everybody did on their own. So if you're stronger than me, at the count with me one corporate, so I don't go look for, you able beat me and take them from me, you able even for take me life because there's no law and order. So within the same vein, you cannot say you have law and order, they prevail in the country, and they call jungle justice. Then where is the justice anyway? Where is the justice system? And waiting at the wider implication. How do we look on the outside? That the 21st century, we still run behind people and brutalize them. But I sure say me first lady, not to that it mean. So, to find for, let we get clarification. We go come out for can clarify exactly what the first lady mean. Nobody is big enough. Nobody is greater enough than the Sierra Leonean people. No one, not the president, not the first lady. You might have a term in office, and that term in office will come to an end at some point. But even whilst you are in office, you are a servant of the people that even when you speak it to them, you speak to them with respect and dignity because the people of Sierra Leone, they deserve nothing less. You don't have to be condescending to them. You don't have to be patronizing to them. You just treat them with respect. You can't cry down the market people, throw them under the bus or aeroplane, and then within the same turn, 360 degrees, and then you want to shout out, I respect all the markets people and looking up to them, whereas in the same vein, you just condemn them earlier. They are not of worth. They're not even reached to my finger. Fambulem, we say we they unpack the first lady in speech where he make, and that's exactly we want to do this evening. Okay, we they unpack the first lady in speech, and this is what we want to do here this evening. While we they do on this evening, I just want to recognize a few people. Not everybody can let you recognize them, but other few people can let you recognize them. And this now to Sister Tutu Lehamid. Welcome to the program. The Great Shiva Concept, Laura, welcome to the program. Hawa Kamara, Dennis Ahmed Modu, Zainab Kelly, and all the others that have joined the program. Dear Beg, allow we share this audio and this video. It's really necessary for let we do so that our people are really not left out of this particular program. The coffee they go cold. We promise that we go unpack the first lady in a program. And waiting at this unpacking where we do. We don't talk about the mob justice thing. And I don't give reasons why we go into it. Because all over social media, of course, every time the first lady speaks, it becomes so heated, so controversial. And you can see the reason why. And that we just try for outline in the case of mob justice. Explain them proper, and I don't see how this can be broken, less than this. That are not supposed to use the word mob justice within the context in which you use them, whether or not because he angry that people and they bust the sanction, not me say he get for use word as such. The people of Sierra Leone needs better, and there should be an apology from the office of the First Lady. Now that any sensible people will do, any sensible administration, now that nine will do, because the backlash is too much. It's obvious that the First Lady get people them will not go like her. It's obvious that the First Lady get people them will go be envious of her. It's obvious that the First Lady get people them who will be jealous of her. It's obvious, okay? But within the same vein, if you they give people them the ammunition for letting get at you, then you get for look now your backyard force or under your own foot and ask yourself, what am I doing wrong? How can I endear myself to my people? And I will come to that. But it's no way simply because people and they bust the sanction they do something so wrong, it's as if law and order don't broken down. Now you're calling for mob justice, which by implication will mean the rule of mob. And this come up from a high-profile person as the first lady, which means that it come with some gravitas. Englishman say it come with some if you know what I mean. Fambule, we say we go bro the mommy in talk. So let we go to straight away. Let we go to straight away. I make clearly notes. Okay. The mommy begin with 121 days of this particular coronavirus thing, where in many respects, na blessing for Mama Salome that we not get this virus reported officially yet. So we get for go with the official narrative. As I say, yesterday in my broadcast, when it comes to rumors, when it comes to conspiracy, nothing is real, nothing is confirmed until it is officially denied. So for now, as far as we're concerned, we know say coronavirus, Sierra Leone is COVID free, COVID-19 free. So 21 days since this disease broke up in China. Today it don't grip the rest of the Western world, in which capitalism, for tell you how serious it is, has been shut down. With money, they play with your money business. You can play with any other thing. Just like we they say, you can play with your mama in Bobby, but your daddy in, they play around them. Now the same thing with money, they play with your money. Which are they try for say, where you see them lock down the industry, the Musa money they generate, where they cost them billions, if not trillions, and thousands don't die. Thousands and thousands more will die. We've just been advised by the UK, by the PM, the Prime Minister, and his spokesperson, that there was a statement today from the PM, and he gave a right letter to all the people that are within this country. That letter they gave for come through with letterbox, in which it is a primary for what is to come, which is going to be worse before it get better. There is going to be a storm before the calm. So we know say 121 days they go on. So Fatima begin very, very, she started off so cheerful. We begin this talk here. It be cheerful, and she said the right things, 121 days. But going through them, the first thing we say is praise the Sierra Leonean people, because this was an effort of the Sierra Leonean people. Of course, therefore praise the leadership, because there's a leadership. But by then, 121 days or 100 days ago, the leadership not done anything tangible for put in place for say, waiting we don't avoid thus far was due to the leadership, because it's not like a state of emergency to prevent the entry of the disease had been proclaimed. It's not like the airport and the borders have been. So this was a thorough effort of the Sierra Leonean people, and by God in grace, that the people continue to enjoy a COVID-19 free atmosphere. So if I don't say that within the last 20 days, within the last 15 days, when government began to take measures, because there were noise, when our voices were heard there, but collectively, those of us that are criticizing constructively, we know we have been heard, and we come to that. The ISO way greets the people in Alunge. The president go to Alunge with a high-powered delegation for creation program for sensitize with people about this coronavirus and waiting for do. In other words, they begin for prepare the nation about the coronavirus. What you want for do? And say largely now way president put foot and put on and put mouth 19 and they pick up. So what he do? He go na Lunge day. He go yep and this talk. He visit some border town. I think Balamuya and other border areas. Then set up the Lunge Airport Hotel as a quarantine center. I really don't want to go there again, because we know few days later it was such an eyesore. Waiting we yeri, waiting commodity, a complete eyesore, my people. Okay, we get for talk about that day again. We get for left small and talk small and left small. So anyway, that was sorted. So the bottom line is, after over 100 days, nothing was really tangibly done for avert this COVID-19 not coming into the country. Instead, there were negative reports that we heard. The landing of a Kenyan Airways, a supposedly COVID-19 infected passenger was aboard, how other people were let in, right under the noses of government officials, of police officers, of law enforcement officers. Where I think they don't make the First Lady really upset. So that 100 days day, we were all in this together, and the First Lady said it nicely that we are all in this together, and if you want to say thank you to all Sierra Leoneans. So he praised the Sierra Leonean people for the effort in trying to be collaborative with the Republic and including the government of the Republic under the leadership of her husband, retired Brigadier, His Excellency Julius Maada Bio. After it don't praise them, it comes to the point where he say now for talk through, where he talk about the closure of border. That the reason why they take the closure of the border, now the speech will cause the controversy, where we pick the word mob justice away from, where we capitalize on it, not intentionally, but it be necessary for people to understand who this mob justice word they come out, which was completely wrong, completely uncalled for, but I don't deal with them. But of course, we will talk about anecdotally, intermittently, as we continue with this broadcast here tonight. So, a go on for talk, beautiful. It's beautifully. The closure of the border, not for one person, but rather that for all men. In other words, waiting in the try for AVAT, now to the benefit of the entire populace of the Republic. It's not only for a group of people. Okay? It's not only for a group of people. The First Lady also go on for say, any go and visit center, I mean the diversion they begin. And make us say this. I get dozens of calls and messages in which people see them differently. Most of my friends, we did disagree for agree, but we get arguments, they are back and forth. Hence why I dealt with this mob justice thing. For that we understand, first of all, the historical narrative of mob justice, Usai Komo, the people the way they use the language and why then they use them, what it mean within a judicious system, how mob justice, when applied, it apply outside of the law, and by implication, it means that the country not get law. So therefore, she cannot be saying that her husband's administration is one of mob justice. So now not making no need for say and so. So that's no excuse for she saying it. She shouldn't have said it anyway. So it go on for talk about, and I did the diversion begin, because it talk about feeding programs there, because they've got people that are quarantined, okay? So in the feed them people and they say anytime where you go visit them facility, then if you observe anything, it will bring and come back to government. Of course, that would be the wisest of moves for reporting to government. You don't take action yourself, Madam First Lady. You can report on to the appropriate office, and let the appropriate office take action. It will be a good thing that a powerful woman like you will take action by following the rule of law and not passing order so that mob justice can be meted out to we people in police uniform or with security, and those one the way they provide a quarantine measure and are breaking the rules. There is a way to deal with them. So it say it go to government responsible. So then people that way quarantine, the First Lady go for say, even in young Peking, and there was a stress on that, of course you can understand, then the nature of motherhood and the situation. Even my own son is quarantined, which I find as double standard because of the emphasis where they try for lay on that. Because if this were not double standard, she would have subjected herself to being quarantined when he returned to the office, back into the country from a trip abroad, from some side, USA we understand, say, COVID-19, at least they may get 1 or 2 person there, or whether or not they get person there, the idea that it come out at the time, come on mix with other people, means say if we don't go into self-quarantine, self-isolation, instead, a risk and puts the presidency in jeopardy, because the presidency, if the mommy be infected, if I don't pass down it to the pa, and the pa himself will have become infected, thereby making him not able for do in duty as per the requirement of the Constitution of the Republic of Sierra Leone. That in itself was a risk taking. So coming back and saying my own son was quarantined, which is a good thing, but we they say that is a bit rich, because it should have been you in the first place. We don't set the example. Hence, one of the things they will say, you need to rule by an example. Going back to the First Lady, she also said that, while they addressed this issue of security at the border, and how many of them they deserve justice, which are they try for say, the people that are at the border where they under their measure they have for protect the borders, we apparently or allegedly, and let me take note of the word. You see, the First Lady is way off the mark in terms of this remark we make. I hate for go back there. But in mob justice, it means say the idea that the First Lady go na the place, na the quarantine center, because she mentioned it, that it can go na the quarantine center because there are people, I believe, where they feed every day as an initiative of the office of the First Lady. The idea that she goes there and finds something amiss, that something they go wrong, that people in the smuggle people in and out, which is not allowed under the quarantine measure, and then we go mob justice some of una, our courts, in inverted commas, we go mob justice some of una, then minus the law on the basis of suspicion, on the basis of allegation, on the presumption of innocent until proven guilty, and then you go mob justice somebody. Whose message will you send to the rest of the people? Because you let them panic, let them afraid you, let them afraid the administration. Is it mob justice? Is that what you're talking about, really, Madam First Lady? And those of the people that are making the claim for you that this is not what you're saying should be sending a message to you directly for let you official and come out, an official or two come out, and can address this issue, waiting you be mean. This thing needs to be serious. We cannot allow the First Lady of the country, they use mob language. This is a very powerful woman. We cannot allow her, without calling her out for what it is, for using the language of mobsters, of drug kingpins. No way. This is not allowed at all. The Sierra Leonean people deserve better. We don't have to continue speaking to our people condescendingly, patronizingly, fiti, finger pointing, upset with them. No, this is the time for humility. This is the time for courage and strength. Let me go back to the First Lady, okay? First Lady say, me, when I see me, so I know they pan Congo sa business. Well, it's good that you know they pan Congo sa business. And I must commend her for that. Because I sure say within the context, what you mean, you know they go talk thing and the staff will be here. Even when one talk something, it will come for one here. The only thing is when you can't talk the way I talk, that's where the problems, I believe, come from. Somebody just made a comment. Let me read a few comments. The border force are endangering their lives to keep our country safe. Not all of them will be corrupt. They need training, and the sister is absolutely right. And this is what we are talking about. And these are the rubrics of a democracy. These are the rubrics of the rule of law. Absolutely spot on, sister. They need training. They need to be told. There are punishments for that. Okay? You see, Madam First Lady, one thing you need to know is these services, the police, the immigration, the army, these are sororities, these are brotherhoods, these are societies. You need to understand them as such, although we country divisive. You touch one, you touch all, because it's the same uniform, it's the same oath of office that they all take. You can't separate the other. That is the same thing Francis Ben Kaifala been do when you go name and shame teachers them, and not be even understand the ramification, but you see how it backfires seriously, both at home and abroad. That should have been a lesson to learn. And the only thing we cool them down, now when the president of the republic come out and apologize in behalf of his government and the nation, because that was a barbaric act very uncivilized act in the 21st century for go hang news around people and British and belong to a society. You know, we know say teaching na union, and the union not only national but also regional and international. You touch one, you touch all. Madam First Lady, this the same thing apply to these police people, and the sister just make a contribution, and she's spot on. I think you need to be listening to some of this. The training is needed, conscientization is needed, incentive is needed, because there's a risk than life day. You tell them about they risk their life with the action where you suspect say that they do. The idea of being there alone is risking their lives for the nation. So they should be encouraged. Una need for the organized facilities for them, training, workshops, for continue for tell them and home the message. Not for come out in a burst of anger and begin, here for accuse them and threaten them with mob justice. Law enforcement officers are being threatened with mob justice by the First Lady of the Republic. Where is the head of state, for goodness sake? Let's go back again to Madam First Lady. First Lady said, of course, in order for Congosa business, people in the tote suitcase and come. Did you notice a tinge of Nigerian accent there? People might say, they pick on something we're not relevant. But we did scrutinize the entirety, because that's what you people wanted me to do. I tried to avoid that. I've been listening to them twice. Okay? I understand who side the First Lady been come up from. I was just deeply opposed to her making a statement which she should not be making in any kind, way, shape, or form, where we want for, salad dress, the talk we talk. For let we understand, say, now because we people in Trangaes, now because we people in, but you then a Western warrior, where people in bust the sanction, they call for mob justice. But you home, Musa, you come outside, you family, and they call for mob justice. And understanding what mob justice is, where now outside of the rule of law, in which powerful people and they take action against other people, where most powerful, and then brutalize them, hang noose na the neck, hang tire na the neck, and burn them before the whole world they see. That's what you're calling for. And then the First Lady said something of that nature, which it might be that the First Lady misspoke. Hence the reason why people need for come out, for can clarify that First Lady in statement. And it will be a good practice, Madam First Lady. It will be a good practice for the government of Sierra Leone. It will be a good practice for the current administration for come out and can clarify some of their statement there, because the statement did not go down well at all. It just left people divided, in which people in way appreciate the First Lady anyhow without condition, are backing the First Lady, and they try for provide excuses for them, saying, well, now because the people in Trangai. Even the people in Trangai is that what they deserve? Mob justice? Are you really in the right state of mind? They say that if we go put tie up on people then summary execution, summary justice, extrajudicial killing or actions outside of the law in a country, which pride itself or supposed for pride itself in the rule of law, not in the rule of mobster or jungle justice? I don't think so. That's why the First Lady need for come out, or in people. Instead, not even need for come out before another controversy again, because she's an outspoken First Lady, and in so doing, I wish she can just choose the moments, sort of words and language where they can carefully prime for win people them over. But no, so let the official and come out and can make excuses. Okay, how can you beat and slap people them inside uniform? In fact, una listen to this. Una listen to this language. Una really listen to this language. How can you beat in as much as you upset with them, in as much as they are breaking the laws, in as much as you are frustrated? How can you come on national media and say you will be kicking, you will be slapping people who are uniform officers of the Republic of Sierra Leone, people employed by the state, paid by the people, that you're going to slap them and kick them simply because you're upset or some actions where then they do? Madam First Lady, message for you. We equally upset like you do. We equally not like waiting and they do, but they not deserve that mob justice. No, There's a rule of law. And you know that. The administration knows that. Okay? Let me read one or two contribution quick. Let me see how they channel their flow, whether there are mix-ups, because people get different views. You don't love our party more than we accept the way Our Lady did. She is rude for a first lady. Let us don't give a blind eye. She needs to apologize to Salon. I voted for Bill. Okay, so sound very much like somebody voted for the SLPP and her husband. And let me just send an observation quickly. While we are addressing the issues of the First Lady, I am kindly appealing to the forum. I am kindly appealing to those who are active in the chat room to exercise some restraint, some caution in terms of the language used towards her. We need for sure that we are better. We need for rise above the challenges. Let us not get pulled down, because that will not go down well. You see, the choices of words can vary. And then variation, and if we use them appropriately, it sends a more powerful message than waiting other people then go use. Okay? So please, fumble them. Let we try for, take the word, maintain some quorum and show some regard. Right. So you cannot slap people in uniform. That's completely unacceptable. The police, law enforcement officers, the brotherhoods, these are sororities, these are clubs. They look after, or supposed to look after each other. They are uniform. That's why you're squad mates, classmates, and what have you. There is a bond. There is. So when you offend one, you offend all. Now, it make not a selective justice you use, now national justice you use for penalize them when they are found wanting. The First Lady also talk about social media, okay? And this now it begin for expose insect family. You see, at some point, it's clear, if you go listen back to the social media thing, we say the social media really don't get to the First Lady. It really don't get to the First Lady, when they can say it get under your skin. You need for listen to the up and the down. You need for listen to the speech. Now that's when I ask for them we do. The statement where the First Lady make. When it comes to social media, they say, this country, I swear to God, something wrong with una. The first sometimes can speak about herself in the second person and sometimes in the third person. Consistency in a thing way good. Now I make some people and say it was a rant. I don't necessarily agree with the word, but in that speech, in that statement, I would rather use a more appropriate word in which I think it wasn't coherent. It was incoherent because a language supposed for flow. But in this case, it wasn't, because there were times like how it begin fine one, like the mommy of the nation. And then not too long, bam, now the First Lady begin for fire on all cylinders. In so doing, of course, Namotamani exposing frailty. And then when it comes to the social media, it also expose how the social media don't get to in skin, under in skin. Let we look why we say so, together with we people the way they watch. And one statement where it make where I pick up on. You see, one moment, of course, the First Lady did on record for say in a Gambian. And then at other moments, there are arguments amongst us. And when I say it's say in a Gambian, remember, I'm on the record. I'm not say it's say in a Gambian because I want pull and come out inside the of we country, or say it not deserve USA a day or in a foreign element. No. That's not what I mean. And for clarify that, famulem, me self we sit on and a foreigner and I'm married. So say I love foreigners. Definitely, my wife is a foreigner. The woman we born me picking them, she's foreign. Okay, so not so that I mean. Waiting, I mean, inside this speech, it begin fine. Talk about we, because this thing we did inside them collectively. when it comes to the social media and something where they say about this country, I swear, something wrong with una. This is not a collective again, oh, not a we, if you understand where I'm coming from. It's una, which means that she is not part and parcel of that thing we can argue where they say wrong with the Sierra Leonean people. Remember, I've been addressed the entire Sierra Leonean, something wrong with una. So she is extracted from that particular argument. Okay. It go on for repeat for 121 days. But we not clap for Mother Bill. Okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong. The leadership can take the of course they were responsible, take the ownership, the leadership campaign where they in terms of avoiding this disaster like in kind of the country. So yes, 121 days, although largely it was by virtue, the one that we believe in God, that by virtue of God, God in mercy over the people them. And I've been to say officially, if there is no denial, because some people believe they did it already, then of course, from an official level, we have to accept that we have been COVID-19 free. So even though now the last 20 days, 15 days, government begin for take actions, tangible ones where we see, feel, and hear, or enforcement principles there now, 100 days, Sierra Leonean people been there for themselves, up and down, they go about their activities. So we thank God for waiting it unfold now. Oh, they see government, they take action, we then rub a key to them around. We accept, we appreciate, and yes, let we tell government thank you, because we get for encourage government, for let government continue for do all in power. Remember, now part of, that's government duty, for do all in power for protect the Sierra Leonean people. The first responsibility of a government, the government of retired Brigadier His Excellency Julius Madabio, is the security of the country, and by default, its people, the occupants them. And we hope that continues. So yes, let me clap for you, clap for the president. The first lady, of course, will never avoid a hint. So he dropped another bomb. You know what he said? He said, if not yesterday, like something else don't happen. Which, by implication, you know what he talk, una way politically savvy, that the previous government, if not been attempted, like by now, na different story now they talk. This come up from the first lady. Now go find, listen to their speech there, okay? If not yesterday, something probably not happened by now. So let me commend this particular government, my husband in government. He said clearly, we clap for the president, and Mr. just don't clap for the president, because we have to give that to the administration. By God in power, by the president in initiative. So far, so good. We are COVID-19 free. Okay? So we get for pray for let COVID-19 not enter at this particular point in time. Okay? They look at waiting for those of whom we just join. We define look at Lady Fatima bio, a statement where he made quite recently, where caused controversy. People and call on others they say they're not right. Some people they say rant, others they're not right. Okay. So at some point, the first lady realizing the talk when they talk, remember say Boku accusation on there against this first lady, that it interfere too much into government business, that she's more political than ceremonial first lady, interfering both at party levels inside the SLPP party, interfering both at party levels and get a caller. Spare me one moment, Fambolem. Hello, caller.
Hello?
Yeah, you want to make a contribution to the show?
Yes.
Okay, just hold your line there. Just to develop some thoughts quickly, and I will get back to you if you don't mind, please.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So anyway, Fambule, I've been on a particular thing in which I say, you see something in a routine. This first lady, she's on the record for interfering with the party business, the party structure. They talk about the Sierra Leone People's Party, whether they go down well with everybody. She's also on record for interfering with government business. Sometimes it come out in the talk and interfere, waiting a government in your talk, na day it can come inside and begin for talk. And this not in business at all. I make it hear in social media. She is not an elected official. That's exactly why people say this, that she's not an elected official. And the fact that she's not an elected official means enough for the dice itself inside government in talk. A need for understand in position, a need for understand in relationship with the presidency and the people vis-a-vis the government. There has to be a line. But most times she's cut out. Well, let me say, this is the nature of the first lady. But what then the first lady can do or the office can do? Now for plot out something thoroughly, we will make them super active because she look by all measures for be a very proactive first lady. We always want to get hands-on and we always need the television or microphone for talk. After all, she came from the background of an actress, always they read script and believe say she for talk. So maybe we can put that to use in a positive way. But when you involve yourself in government, that is just absolutely wrong. So the first lady at some point go on for say, and they talk as Fatima, and you get to realize the reason why he talks so. Because of all the accusation there. I remember I tell you say, social media don't get under the first lady's skin. And you know, for pretend like you know they listen. Of course she does listen. Of course some people, of course they listen. Fatima na show woman. Fatima na a former actress or na in profession now an actress. So yes, she does listen. And when he talk, you know, say when they listen. Of course, she gave away inside the same talk. Anyway, Fambulem, I think say we get a caller na the line. I will get to the caller shortly. Let me hear you waiting this caller. Get for say. Caller, you are live. What is your contribution to this program, please?
Yeah, thank you very much. This is about a super million. I just want to more small number because it's a very important program we talk about. And I want to just bring them to your audience and listening as them say. This is the second controversial speech this way. The first lady don't make him feel in recent weeks. I remember if people were correct, this time they will be going to Gambia as well, where in speech insinuates as if Sierra Leone legislators are not contributing the woman in half. You know, it's a passport Gambia here for which they're going to come on salon, they think roughly, you know. That is very, very sad because we in agriculture, we Sierra Leoneans are very respectful to women them in authority because we try to make sure we encourage them, make them do well. And if you look down history, we always very, very expected to first ladies them. So for any first lady, somehow they come and put stars around people, really disappointing and you know, something needs to be done about it. Maybe people at the party, like the SFP party or the husband, because they call for mob justice. I want to bring down attention to something with this current administration. Mob justice does somehow take place. If I remember, that place by then teacher, they know they also for alleged corruption. They don't be going for what like any court of law to the anti-corruption commissioner because parade like continuity and cuff them, put also in court them, say they're like criminal like this. We will not go through the due process it. And remember, the president became some sort of rebuke the anti-corruption commissioner. So again, maybe you would expect the president, you know, it's very difficult. This Lion partner. But so if Congo make a statement like that and they threaten the security forces in the country, I mean, this is very, very serious. I believe saying the party, the SFP party, and the first gentleman, the president of the republic, they need to do something or talk to the people for address them. They would maybe apologize on behalf of the first lady, or maybe say they will come and try to quantify a message in the open. Understand? So really, you know the way how people understand because the way you talk, open and clear like Creole, we all understand Creole. And the way you talk, it really the meaning to this 21st system. And what they depend on at this crucial time. Don't forget, for when they make this public health emergency system, sometimes this thing can go. And people will rely on to make sure say them patrol the authorities, make patrol the country, make sure say them make the people in the country empower the laws them. You know, for enforcement, many people will follow the laws them. And the first thing you don't begin put them down, don't begin to book them. You know, it's very worrying and troubling. And when I see this pattern, they come from the first lady. Like what I said about this, like the second speeches in recent weeks, where it's attacks Iranianism. You know, they tell us some people not like for talking, they tell them it. This is in a generalized, which is very, very sad and worrying because some people, and there are millions of people, you know, put you on inside one basket, say, all man not like for your eat room. That is very, very disrespectful to the people who put him and his husband in the actual place they want to do so. You know, the least they can do, now for sure, some respect and appreciation to these people. You see, so now make a better know the come. I want to take it plenty when they sensitize people in parliament topic there because it's very important. Let people understand it's not about politics, it's not about politics because people in a big party, so we get plenty people from all about the country as well. You know, I'm saying they will gladly like the party for the Glencan constant and continuous rebuke because when you first say you rebuke all man at Salome, it looks like all man, you don't say like SAP, you don't try to put all man down. Okay. And that is not right. That is not right. I mean, I know some people feel loyal, say, oh, like SAP, but whatever, I don't support them. But we see a support for that intelligent mind. This is not the 21st century. It doesn't matter if like young people like brother or sister, you know, say they do something, we're not good for the general good, you know, they're not going for talking. Okay. So, you know, it's...
Okay, my brother. I think you made a point very strong. I can see the appreciation at the chat room. Pato, so the first lady, they told you, yeah? Mr. Mansare, I don't put the number there. It's 07740107250. If you call from outside, it's you get for add the country code the 44, yeah. But the number then at the chat room 07740107250. And just before you go, caller, do you think that there can be a turnaround? Because you know, sometimes you can be made, you can be polished, like in the Western world, they can see your strength and your weakness, and then they work on the weakness and present you to the people. Do you think there's a chance of this kind for the first lady?
Well, it has to be because the first lady can understand, he can always see it as part of your official role, now for the show appreciation to the people then. Now for sure appreciation to the people, and then people there bring your husband to power for governing. Like if they get Pokoboku Afak waiting concept, people appreciate him and for encourage him, talk to them and try to make sure say you give us support, like extra support to the people and say, I know say these are many challenges. There are plenty going on at the world direct today. You know, one of the things I don't for mention at all now mob justice. Because any time at the world where mob justice, they chaos for the anarchy. You know, the anarchy, they like some governments then. You know, that are the last two I remember about. And for any they talk and up once, so, you know, they really want the people are really worried at the country. You see, so we up, they go learn from them too, maybe you stay there. It's got to make sure, say, you know what you talk. You know, in the same statement, in the mistake statement, they say, the one of Africa, no country not going away, no country not the way that secret not going. That's I don't know. And that is factually untrue. There are few countries, let's say them about countries, but few countries in Africa will not get that sickly. So all them things they need for make sure when they say something, that's something we get back into them as well. Okay. You know, not to can talk something.
Okay, my dear friend. Thank you very much for your contribution. The question was anyway whether there is a possibility of a turnaround for this first lady because she seemed very much like a proactive first lady. Possibly they talk, we like the limelight, they like the stage, and like in the Western world, you get them public relation team, them we can actually polish people them up. We can look at people's strengths and their weaknesses, and then capitalize on the strength and update the weaknesses and make them, you know, a force for reckoning with. Well, thank you so much for your contribution, my brother, as usual. And I believe you are Superman calling from London.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much, my brother.
Thank you for your contribution as usual, and goodbye. Okay, Family, that was just a contribution there from a friend and a brother. And somebody just asked whether the number they online. Yes, I just put the number up. So if you want to call, you can call and make a contribution. And it's 077 4010 7250. If you call from abroad, don't forget the country code 44. Fabulous. For those of you now just to join the forum right now or the platform right now, we dey try for disentangle, we dey try for unpack Lady Fatima Bio in statement we make quite recently, we don't cause some serious havoc around the world. So let's go back to this quickly. So the first lady say, they talk as Fatima Bio. Remember saying a monologue. I mean, a dialogue, now you get. He say, there was no question. Yeah, there was no questions anyway. He say, me Fatima Bio they talk, or are they talk as Fatima Bio? It sounds almost like when you question about Nato Isef, and if they try for identify and send a message, okay? Like we a reporter will normally ask her. After all that talk, they will don't unpack, we will don't analyze. They say, are they talk as Fatima Bio? And just before the caller, they say the reason why they say so. Okay, I think this is another caller. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah?
Is this on the show?
Oh, yeah, it's on the show. I guess you want to make a contribution. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Hold the line, please. The calls are flowing in now. Hold the line for me, please. Just 1 minute there. Yeah, you're welcome. So we've got like 3 callers kind of waiting. We've got one. Let's see. Okay, caller, you are live. Will you identify yourself where you're calling from? Sounds like your first-time caller, please.
Yeah, I'm in Ali, so I call from London.
You say what's the name again, please?
Please.
Okay, go ahead and make your contribution, please.
Concerning waiting the first lady or how we behave, I mean, if you say you're not first lady, you forget some amount of integrity.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, you're live. You're live.
Yeah, you forget some amount of integrity in you said we didn't address the nation. And if you think that you're not moving on for nation, you don't just come and the talk there and see Sierra Leone and then make it what we didn't have about not the way because if the lobby they permit to we for charge and to cost for some of the words the way they say because it is take in office for like a PTI Sierra Leoneans and they don't think that it will get all with them. And it's not happening anymore. This now the social media, they wide awake as Sierra Leoneans and they wide awake. Not so anyone saying things to say don't leave London and things to say it will just use things words them as Sierra Leoneans. That's really, really bad, to be honest. So you need for mind words them. And these people they address them as Fatima. So me that address her as Fatima. Fatima needs for mind words the way they address Sierra Leoneans. And we are all in a way can do. I mean, may give people a chance when they work in the office every day for exercise and no franchise. Not because you don't name Fatima, I think to say because he keep mad at you. Or no, we president, His Excellency, I always respect them. Things say for use in power for abuse Syrians. That's a big contribution.
Just before you go, I mean, you made your point, you're very powerful. And the world they hear you and people that subsequently hear you as they watch the tape. Obviously, it's been blunder after blunder from the first lady.
Exactly. Thank you for reminding me of that day because it is one consecutive then it kind of like it was like for Robert and Salon people and face say, I can do whatever I feel for do. Nobody don't get a hold over me. But at the same time, it just the show itself what I mean I marry those. Because if person get control over then they are not for the go on and on. Because if I realize saying that then people we put on our power and we self deserve some amount of respect. So when they can talk to the public, if we know how they can talk like a mama, you know means because I get one habit anytime they talk things there, what they say for correction and the media, if they can go backwards for saying like I don't hear it to I don't give a damn, I'm going to say more. So I mean it's to reframe from the attitude that because of first lady, make it I don't know the right word for saying that, make it work like office, may work with integrity, because it represents a whole nation where we all come on. That's the contribution.
That's a powerful contribution, and that goes directly to the First Lady. And all this call and the try for is the First Lady need to pull back and show some humility and show some dignity and respect to the Sierra Leonean people. Thank you very much.
Yeah, definitely. Because when you are performing arts, where you would get degrees and you say you the act, you're eating to say you because you rule, you feel you are for rule the world. No, we are for people that get waiting and call. We don't need for call waiting and we get. So not just performing as some of you get. So nothing to say. I mean, you know, it'll be like for one they not be educated in village. So you want for cause like everybody know. Sorry, I'm not being rude, but I mean, it is equal to certain things that we make we talk what they will not talk.
No worries at all. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
You're welcome.
Share this video around for us. Thank you.
I definitely do.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that was a first-time caller. They called from London, and a message very powerful, precise, and to the point, directly to the First Lady. And no hard feelings, no offense, just saying it as it is. And there have been a series of calls that we will miss while the lady will speak. Let me see whether we can reverse some of them charges they for the calls that we will get when they come in. We will soon finish the program, by the way.
Hello.
Yes, caller, I guess you want to make a contribution to the show.
That's right. Yes, that's very correct. Yeah.
We are
Right. My name is Banali Mansare. I call from London.
Okay, Mr. Mansare, you've got the floor, sir. Which do you want to tell me?
Right. First of all, the issue of Fatima Bio. First thing, which we would try to talk as Sierra Leoneans, we're not talk here as party or whatever. Now we talk as Sierra Leoneans, and all Sierra Leoneans will come together and speak in one voice in terms of anybody we want for bring any problem. Now, Salon, where they disrespect any Sierra Leonean, for stand against that person in there, especially where Fatima, we don't get videos them, audios them where incessant don't talk say in a Gambia, right? We don't get no problem with that. We don't get any issue with that. But for the fact that it continuously abuse and insult Sierra Leoneans then, Fatima for no say, first of all, a first lady office in Salon, not a legal office. Nobody no vote for her. Now a man, a president, a man, a whole position at the country. And Fatima, if you carry on with this, we say would they get a campaign where would they insult Gambians there? Anytime we say them, they would do that. For this person return, would they do that? If not Gambian to pass Sierra Leone, first of all, Fatima will say Sierra Leone and Gambian there, not to contemporaries them. Salon they come.
Mr. Mansai, sorry for interjecting. I mean, we can't punish people collectively. The entire Gambian nation not will take the responsibility for waiting First Lady Fatima to do. For let we turn we anger at the entire Gambian population simply because of this First Lady. Collective justice, I mean, it's not something that is appreciated.
That's right. I understand where you come from, but maybe then we'll talk to her and say, listen, you don't bring shame to we. So you better stop now because he no one stop. I think I'm not the first or second or three times this way they do it. If you go back Since 1 year, 8 months now or 9 months, Fatima, they continuously do things there where it's not supposed to do. And Fatima is not a teenager. Fatima is nearly 45 or 47, right? Now, baby go, I get 27-year-old or 25-year-old kid, you don't talk and I know, not to we talk. If Fatima they carry on for do this, would they for do things that are salon program, we go make it on a way that salon go to Gambia, where it claims it that it come out. I mean, let us not put this into any political thing or political correctness. But so much that she's unbearable. What people are fortunate maybe it feels it get power, which will make it sort of whole nation. It's not right. We know that what the way Israel will lead the way they take benefit. You know how first lady, they will not ever see them on the spotlight. Never. We will not ever see them, even on TV. But they need a corner, then they do their own small thing that nobody don't know about until you go to their website before you know this. So one thing when you want to call for Sierra Leoneans there, especially the women there, right? They will lead a campaign against Fatima, say, Fatima, listen, the family you can't marry. Anybody who can't marry any host, you know they can't take over an host day, especially a family house. So Salon is family house, right?
Mr. Mansari, how do you think, I mean, the suggestions are taken on board, but how do you think that kind of thing they have to work with the country is so divisive? Because even the statement where the people make, if you watch all over social media, you will see people that get different take on them, and you get people that when they back up to the hilt, we say, he right. Even poverty is saying, we completely know right, and it's an insult to the Sierra Leonean people. How can we solution make it work?
Well, because there are few people there, of course, we must get few people there, we will always talk faith, we will always talk in this price. We must get that few people there. This is out of 7 million people there. Now, probably about 100 or 200 people left. Within a social media, if I were in one friend, they answer that today, social media, in a one panel. But one thing where people that forget is this campaign, social media is very, very strong right now. You can even go to the State House website or the government website for tell them to say, what thing that happened, will not appreciate them. You know, this let us stop, and it will stop immediately. If they're not able to control Fatima, maybe they send her to Gambia, might be able to go meet her there. But you know they can't insult me.
Somebody say Fatima, they can bring war between Gambia and Salon, and that goes to what you say. But just a quick one, just a quick one before I let you go. Thank you so much for your contribution. The key issue now for this program here tonight, of course, what you see. With everybody on the same, now the condescending and patronizing attitude of the first lady allegedly, circumstances to watch people. The mob justice, where you say you will let for touch on that.
Fatima, first of all, like illiterate, you don't even know what's in a mob justice. Maybe they talk on some side or whatever. Honestly, and I can talk in front of her because if you know what's in a mob justice, you know go talk that one day. So that's the first thing. And the worst of it, what make Fatima they do this? Because he don't put Madabio under a leg. So he know it feels the way put Madabio under a leg, that's why they put Sierra Leone under a leg. Now Madabio is able to control the host. Make control the host anyhow you want them, not to business that one day. If you want to put her on the box. But the thing is, because you don't use that one day, it feels they able to control Madabio, and then Madabio is able to talk. If you want safe, now in the make Madabio is able to talk because you don't put something up. We're not with business that one day. The problem here is Fatima for let's go Sierra Leone issues. He not to councillor, he not to MP, he not to anybody in the country. He not nothing. He's just a nothing. Many people are even stop for calling Fatima. I mean, first lady because he not deserve that position. If he wants, let him go back to the country. He cannot just insult a whole nation. When the nation will be nothing. At this time, where from when they carry inside power, one thing they don't point, anything said that this they don't do. Nothing. Any time they put on a shame. Anything they Fatima open the mouth, a problem. They say they got shredded. The same thing Madabio. Anytime Madabio open the mouth, it even by the marriage. They're not able to perform the marriage properly. That's also shame like commodity. But they're able to business. The thing is, Fatima needs to go back to the country. If Madabio wants, they will go to Sunday. That's complete nonsense.
Okay, we go end on that note today. Thank you very much, sir, for your contribution. What's our contribution? Very powerfully said. And just for a recap on that quickly, the brother they say Sierra Leonean people need to make known to the First Lady that this action of ours, especially the women there, this action of ours will no longer be tolerated, and they need to make their voices heard. That it can't continue to speak to them in a derogatory manner any longer. Enough is enough. Thank you so much, my brother. That was
no problem.
Mr. Bangali Basare calling from London. Okay. So Fambulem, the calls are coming in. We missed a couple of calls. We will see when they call back, and then we will try for answer them. But for now, only two-way navigate. So back quickly to Usa Abinde. The First Lady say, "Nami they talk Fatima," and he refer to himself as Fatima. And would they say there's a reason why he say, "Nami Fatima they talk," and the reason why he say so because so many times it is straight into government business. The talk we not belong to them, where he really not supposed to say. He just need to wait. If you see something, complain, tell him, man. Authorities, but sometimes she talks and take a position as if she's an elected official or responsible for certain actions. Then, like this justice thing where you talk, that's totally uncalled for. And Fambulem, those of you that are in support of the First Lady, there's nothing wrong being in support of the First Lady. But when the First Lady veer, of course, the equity they do, this is not her business publicly for decide whose kind of punishment shall be meted out, and especially the kind of punishment where they refer to. Because even if the punishments be deal within the remit of the law, that would have been completely different, and people therefore may not understand, say, well, at least what they say, now waiting the law say, or then will take the people into the law, and there's a way for them for say, but in say, we go begin for mob justice, una just no. Then una sit down they back such a statement, simply because you're supporting the First Lady. Do you think critiquing the First Lady, you know, and sort of prism, you know, absorb your surrounding, try to understand the nature of your people and before speaking to them, show them some respect, exercise restraint. So it's saying I mean the talk as Fatima. And I know say when they can't come out just not for cost me. Yeah, that's what the First Lady said. I know say when they can't come out just not for cost me. And but me cost they do nothing to me. Then turn around and say, well, I'm not come on a cost us. You will even be talking about it. And the thing I've been say the Mami they watch social media. This is exactly what I'm talking about. She is watching social media. She's consumed with social media. Yeah. She's consumed. She's obsessed. She's an actress. She read scripts, many scripts. She acted on motion pictures. So this not in kind thing. So there's a contradiction of message there. The way it is, say, me not get time for social media. No, Fambulem. I tell you now, social media are the weapon of the century. This is a weapon of mass destruction. Okay? This is a weapon of mass destruction. Whether the simile way you want, of course, and then they talk about If we talk about it, then of course, I mean, in that sense, they're not in the literary sense. But this is not the weapon of choice. The great president of the United States, Donald Trump, some of the problem where he gets with the people, I mean, the press, the only entity that is called the fourth estate, which is written down, or you can find inside the United States Constitution, is the press of the United States. And they've been as such for over 100 years until the coming of Donald Trump. Do you know what Donald Trump did? We asked them today, when they ever forgive him? He take this thing, telephone, okay? He pushed them all aside. He used this for communicates directly to the American people. And just go on a Twitter page. It gets tens of millions of followers. So now English they use for communicating. The traditional press at the State House or the White House, it passed 12 months, the whole length and press briefing a day. Now we don't become reactive again because it became necessary because to involve other people. But single-handedly, the man changed all things from that formal press to just the use of the telephone and communicate directly to the American people. So don't listen to government officials, other powerful people when they try for make social media redundant, because after all, there's self they use. This current president of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, around 2 years ago, you know what happened? This social media, FaceTime, now in Seva. They imagine massive country like Turkey, they overthrow the president, they don't take over strategic locations. The man launched a campaign back because he'd be able for using phone, FaceTime, and begin for talk to other general them. And then turn the coup over. The point that they try for make, there is some disdain about officials of government, very powerful people, very, very powerful people. They're upset. What are you upset about? Because they get access to conventional press, conventional written print media, television media. But the idea, things don't turn around, that the media will they control, let's say state media, let's say AYTV, for example. Okay. It's no longer the same because millions of us, we get access to telephone, we get access to media. We can generate with your media. Listen to what in the First Lady for tell you how much it listen and how it don't become disdainful. She spoke like somebody who deeply hurt. And when I go back, when I go listen, please, okay? Because there's a mismatch. He say, the course, come on, my course home, and then they can't begin course and just not for this thing the way you say. But imagine if she had said the right things, would I go one course? Would I go one course? Okay. If we begin for catch una, this is the most controversial part on the entire statement. If we begin for catch una, we will begin for mob justice una. Now, una where they back that statement, they, after all what we don't talk about, after all the listening, una don't listen. This not a joke statement. They come up from a very powerful woman, and she made it known and clear. If we begin for Kechuna, let's look at in context of who we come out, or all the thing away say, una women say, go listen to the speech. I mean, it beggars belief, because when you account for reason, after I go listen back and back and back and back, I saw nothing new. And if you want to sister comments na social media say, well, I've had a look myself, I've had a listen, and I'm not seeing nothing new, nothing not change this perception. But for argument's sake, you go back and go look. And whose side the money come up from? Not the same thing. Now he make a statement, he make this statement that when we catch you now, after all he don't talk, threatening officers and people in uniform, spoken to people condescendingly, disrespect, and the rest of it. And then you go, where we catch you now. And now they quote this. If we begin for catch una, we they begin for mob justice una, quote unquote. And this is where we are. And this is why I took a difference to the statement where people want to argue, say, well, now, for good listen, the broader picture, and what even try for say, does that justify using this content? There is a charge in international law, something and called incite. If something was to happen, Father forbid, it's not going to happen, and I trust you not to that. Seriously, mean that we're no more way in talk when I did that one day. But of course, we don't see previous leaders then, by virtue of waiting in the same, because they get something when they call the bully pulpit. That means they get this powerful place or bullhorn side and they speak, and they get thousands, hundreds of thousands, in some cases millions of people where they listen. Like Donald Trump, for example, can make a statement and people then go listen to the statement. And if you urge them to go do something, they get people them, of course, where they go do them. So Lady Fatima get a similar pedigree, that when they talk something, there is some power being waiting in the sea. He able for shape things. He able for shape thinks this is not an ordinary woman. Okay. This is the first lady of a nation. She's got the ears of the president. Okay. Of course she advises her husband. Of course she makes some decisions. She don't come out and say them, but you can't tell me over dinner, yeah, man, and all, they talk about issues, there's somebody tired for meeting and blah, blah, blah. And your man not go vex me. If the woman tell me, of course I go vex, and it's like, who that do that? Okay. So now that is a, we go begin mob justice una. This is where she showed the disdain for social media, as I mean say. Una sit down na una toilet them. Una listen to this, so una sit down na una toilet them. This is the kind of vitriol where we need direct at people them like me, because now we all into social media. It may not be me in particular, but just generally maybe people that we know about, but you know, even need for know about social media generally. In fact, she said this, the first lady of the country. Una sit on a toilet them. I mean, just one let we get that, and I make a repeat them for effect. Yeah, for effect. We are focused, and then it turn around. See how I talk about how incoherent this thing was. Una sit down on a toilet them. Of course, there were certain things she said after that, but I'll just go and say, we are focused and we are together. So you did try to remember, now this we now. We are focused and we are together. Who is this we that are focused? After all said and done, and who is this we that are together? Sound like a very divisive message. It sounds like an incoherent sort of message where sort of carry some confusion, real confusion, to be honest, because what people were reading to this now, it make again our advice that in policy people them, in planners them, in aid them, in PA them need for come out and let them can explain to the Sierra Leonean people. But the best thing they can do while they try to explain all what the first lady mean, and for first of all apologize, explain in context what it mean by this word we don't call also the uproar among everything else. We go mob justice now. That natural we police people them. We men in uniform, our men in arms, our men with the taxpayer then they pay, we people employ, where the government employ, where people and they pay. Okay, we are focused, we are in this together. Una not even reach me half finger. Una not even reach me half finger. So you see the degree of narcissism. What you mean by this is all about herself. the obsession, the infatuation, within self. And this is what we're saying. And these are the kind of words that the First Lady used. These are if not been just an ordinary person, maybe enough for being talk or for being fan, degrading words for use, but I still get some respect for the office and the woman. So I felt difficult to define the way I want to define. This is not what a First Lady says or should be saying. When I not even reach me half finger. President Mbio na innomo na Sierra Leonean. They take measures for curb that. We also need for no say now this come out. They actually create smallpox virus inside people in a salon, listening to our government as our government try for take precaution for protecting. Okay, like I say, now is the time for listening to authority. Now is the time for be a related message. Yeah. So on this note, I think say I don't talk about that left now. Thank you very much for listening. Today, the 29th of March, and March they don't so. We come back with other solid program there. The COI, the report, and the double standard. We don't begin to see in the report. We can return soon. Thank you so much for listening. And
Hey,